Coming up, one organization sparked the voices on women's rights heard across the country.
Want to know why your buses and trains have been running late? Stay tuned to find out.
Then, activists in the Bay Area gathered to express their reactions on the government's use of fossil fuels.
From the School of Journalism and Mass Communications at San Jose State University, your source for what's happening with a fresh perspective on today's issues. You're watching Update News.
Welcome to Update News. I'm Evie Limon.
And I'm Abel Tariku. Protests against U.S. President Donald Trump's administration swept the nation on International Women's Day. One protest in San Jose took place a few blocks from San Jose State's campus. Reporter Isabella Dandoy has more on the story.
On Saturday at St. James Park, hundreds of neighbors across the Bay gathered to support women's rights and protest President Trump's agenda. Protesters felt strongly against policies they believe put women's rights and democracy at risk.
I'm saddened, I'm disgusted by it, and it's just we need to save our democracy.
Look what they've done to Roe v. Wade. Of course I'm here today. Everything has been overturned so swiftly that it just doesn't even seem real.
The day kicked off with speeches at the McKinley statue. Government officials such as District 3 candidate Gabby Chavez-Lopez and Congressman Sam Liccardo sounded off on their opinions.
I will never support a budget of the Republicans that I know this administration is never going to implement anyway.
Fueled by the chants of their community, protesters marched along East Santa Clara Street before circling back to the park. The event was organized by 5051 San Jose, a grassroots movement committed to upholding the Constitution and ending executive overreach.
Well, we're looking to raise awareness on a national scale in solidarity with all the other 5051 protests nationally.
It's a scary time, and the most important thing to do when things get hard or scary like this is to not back down and not cease.
The march ended here on the steps of the McKinley statue. Other demands voiced at the protests include women's reproductive rights, transgender rights, healthcare, and gender pay. In San Jose, I'm Isabella Dandoy. Update News.
Union workers of VTA have been on a labor strike across all Santa Clara County stations since Monday. Light rails and VTA routes have since been halted. Reporter Angela Nguyen has more on the story.
Thanks to you, Via. Amalgamated Transit Union 265, better known as ATU 265, is a local labor union that went on strike Monday at 12 a.m. Members are now assembling in front of multiple VTA stations and bus yards to protest after negotiations with VTA for a new workers' contract resulted in a standstill. I went to find out more on what happened at the VTA Shibuya Division Yard on Monday. Union members are chanting together for better working conditions. Guillermo Nova has been a long-standing employee with VTA.
Been here for 22 years and I can have Christmas and New Year's week.
Nova believes that workers deserve better compensation for their hard work. For him, a better contract would mean better benefits and recognition of workers' dedication to their jobs.
We move the people. So we are the bottom, but we are...
Nova believes that all workers' concerns should be heard, regardless of if workers like himself are at the bottom of VTA's payroll. According to VTA's homepage, union members asked for an 18% pay increase in total over the next 3 years. VTA attempted to negotiate for a 9.3% increase, but was rejected by the union. Victoria Calvajo, a VTA driver, questions how money is dispersed within the VTA committee.
For us to get a fair contract that the VTA board directors don't want to give us, even though it's clearly in their budget to give us, along with our benefits.
Calvajo believes more money should be allocated to VTA drivers instead of being dispersed to supervisors. Ashley Olvera, an ATU 265 board member, says the strike addresses a bigger problem.
When it comes to the bigger picture, we need to make sure when it comes to like our contract that we have our rights and that we're being protected, especially since it seems like we don't have that all the time.
To Olvera, this strike is about workers' rights. As of now, both VTA and ATU 265 have not agreed on a workers' contract. With local VTA stations out of service, regular users may have to find a new method of transportation as the strike continues. Coming up, I want to find out more on how SGSU students are getting to school.
Members of the Amalgamated Transit Union 265 protested at VTA's headquarters on Tuesday. Some city and county officials were present in support for the ATU. I have more on the story. ATU 265 members were at the picket line on Tuesday, protesting after not reaching an agreement with VTA. ATU International President John Costa rallied with workers and defended the 265 union.
It's a good feeling. It means a lot. It's a proud moment for the ATU to have our members in 265 San Jose take a stand and say, we're not going to be treated like this.
ATU members all across California were present in support for the 265.
Showing support for our big brother VTA, right? We're all the same ATU. So when they call for help and they say they're striking, we leave too.
San Jose City Council members Domingo Candelas and Pamela Campos, as well as Santa Clara County Supervisor Betty Young, were also in support for the 265. With the support they have received, members in the 265 union have hope that they will reach an agreement, even if the negotiations have not made much progress.
The morale is very high. Even though the agency is still playing games, I know they've tried to put this narrative out in the media that we walked away, but they're sending us really mixed messages behind their communication to us.
As negotiations continue with the ATU 265 and VTA, Update News will keep you updated on any new developments.
With VTA workers on strike, Santa Clara VTA stations are temporarily being halted. Students who rely on public transport may have to find other methods of travel. Reporter Angela Nguyen is back with more.
According to the 2023 Fall Semester SJSU Transportation Survey, approximately 1 in 4 students use public transit to attend school. Within that percentage, students who use VTA to commute to school often rely on it once to twice a week. For some students, like Sui Nui, VTA is their only form of transportation to school and work.
I'm talking to friends to see if they're down to give me rides whenever I need them. So it's a lot of coordination with them because they also have their class schedules and work schedules, so it's a little bit tough.
Yui expresses how carpooling with friends is not a long-term solution. She understands that other students may share the same struggle. Fabiola Chavez Ariela, an SJSU student, has been using Uber to help her get to school in place of VTA.
We'll be spending $40 just on transportation compared to the $1 to $2 I would normally spend.
Outside of financial concerns, she explains how it affects other aspects of her life.
I have my own strategy to get to class on time or early, and that for sure has made me I guess a bit more anxious.
Without a reliable mode of transportation, Ayala feels that it will affect her daily and academic schedule down the road. Stacey Handler-Ross, a VTA spokesperson, empathizes with students' concerns.
We are working very hard to try and resolve the situation. As I said, we are also trying to make modifications in our proposal to the extent that's possible without having to cut transit service for people like students who rely on it.
Students who depend on VTA are still on the hunt for the next reliable mode of transportation. San Jose, Angela Nguyen, Update News.
Recent natural disasters like the LA fires have reinvigorated climate activists to try and bring about change in the way fossil fuels are produced and governed. Protesters in Richmond, California gathered on Tuesday at the Chevron refinery to speak out against the use of fossil fuels. Reporter Nick Austin has more on the story.
On Tuesday, Richmond residents and climate activists took to the streets to protest not only the Chevron oil and gas company, but also climate change and for oil and gas companies to be held responsible. Melvin Willis, the leader of the march, spoke about the protest and his message for those in charge of oil and gas refineries.
Be a part of the solution and not the problem. You've already made billions upon billions of dollars, but money isn't going to matter if we don't have an earth for our future generation.
Many protesters called for a new bill, the Polluters Pay Climate Superfund Act, to be passed, which, if enacted, would hold fossil fuel producers financially accountable for climate-related damages.
And in this moment when California doesn't have a river of money flowing, we're actually in a budget deficit. This is an avenue to charge the very people who are costing the state money for the things that we need in order to survive in the future.
The support for the Polluters Pay Climate Superfund Act bill has been loud. Greenpeace California Climate Director Zach Norris shared his sentiment that there is a need for urgent action against oil and gas corporations.
And since they've been lying for years and decades, knowing that climate change is coming, they have to pay. Because if they don't pay, then every single one of us pays. And people are paying with their lives, they're paying with their homes, and that's just not acceptable.
With the issue of climate change becoming more prevalent, people are rising up against oil and gas refineries, and they are hopeful for change. Nick Austin, Update News.
We'll have more for you when we come back.
Up next, parents in San Jose are questioning the future of their child's education.
Even though COVID-19 lockdowns began 5 years ago, find out how much the virus is still affecting us.
Wind, rain, and crazy weather. Find out the details coming up next.
Facing a budgetary defect and low enrollment, a San Jose school district has made the decision to close down 3 schools. Each school held a town hall meeting for members of the community to voice their opinion. Reporter Mohammed Najimi has more on the story.
The Franklin-McKinley School District is closing down McKinley Elementary, Ramblewood Elementary, and Los Arbolos Elementary, effective fall of 2025. This decision has left parents of children who attend these schools uncertain about the future of their child's education. Alma Palacios is a parent of a special needs child attending Los Arbolos, and she's worried about how the transfer will affect her child.
It is heartbreaking. I'm used to the community here. I'm used to the principal. I'm used to the teachers, the moms, just everything here. It makes me nervous. I want to cry right now.
Jennifer Smith, a student support specialist at Los Arbolos, works with special needs children and shares her thoughts on the closures.
Time and energy they put in to do the research to close the schools, I feel was too fast, very skewed. They had people on the committee that I feel like had their best interests.
McKinley students will transfer to Santia Elementary, Ramblewood students will transfer to G.W. Hellier Elementary, and Los Arbolos students will transfer to Lyrone College Preparatory Academy, according to Superintendent Juan Cruz.
We were going to look at different options. We weren't just going to close schools or not close schools and then just say, okay, we're going to be in a deficit. No, we're going to do something.
The district stated that although closing these 3 schools helps address their fiscal challenges, it won't provide enough savings for long-term sustainability, requiring further cuts. Update News will be sure to let you know of any updates in the future. In San Jose, Mohammed Najimi, Update News.
This week marks 5 years since states across America began implementing lockdown policies due to COVID-19. Our reporter Madison Wilbur spoke to members of the community who are still facing lasting health impacts.
Long COVID is a chronic condition that causes people who had COVID-19 to experience COVID symptoms, even after testing negative. Libby Charnock is one of those people. Libby loves working out. Now, since contracting COVID 3 years ago, she struggles to be active without feeling lasting COVID symptoms.
I can't prove that it's long COVID, but there are so many issues that I never had before that I started having immediately after having COVID.
Those who have long COVID may experience shortness of breath, muscle pains, fatigue, and more. The research for long COVID is still in its early stages. Dr. Payapalli, the CEO of Breathe California, said she encourages people to tell their doctor what they are experiencing to help aid patient symptoms and help medical studies.
I think there is still a long way for us to go to understand the disease and to find answers to what can be done to prevent long COVID or what is causing long COVID.
Trevor Wallace, a student at San Jose State University, said he got COVID not once, but twice, and hopes people continue to take the disease earnestly.
I think it's important we should take it more seriously, and the long-term effects of these diseases we don't know much about until they come out.
The CDC continues to recommend getting vaccinated, washing your hands, and wearing masks as ways to prevent COVID-19 and long COVID. In San Jose, this is Madison Wilbur, Update News.
A new report that's come out that children in the United States are falling behind on their reading level. Our reporter Ibra Moreno has more on the story.
Reading levels in the U.S. have hit a low with recent state and national test scores showing that children are falling half a grade behind in their reading since pre-pandemic, and scores are still decreasing today in U.S. schools according to National Assessment of Educational Process.
Reading or any other subject is a balance between
what they learn in school, and then also parent participation.
She believes parenting looks to be an important factor for children's success in school.
And encouraging them to read or do their homework, and it takes time for those skills to be developed.
Some teachers believe that attendance in school is a big factor as to why reading levels have dropped for many children around the U.S.
I think teachers and students face a lot of challenges. Screen time is definitely a big one. Absenteeism is also a big problem. That's definitely in the national news. So getting kids at school is going to improve their reading scores for sure.
Lower reading level scores are not only worrying teachers. Some parents are worried about how children will do in school without fundamental skills such as reading.
I think it's really sad because students need to be prepared, especially as they graduate and go on to whether from elementary to middle school to high school. Reading is like the basic and fundamental part for any lesson.
Teachers and parents across the U.S. are stressing the importance of reading and are looking for a new solution to help children succeed in the classroom and outside as well. In San Jose, I'm Moreno, Update News.
How's the weather been for you, Yuvia? Staying dry?
No, I had to bring an extra jacket just to stay dry. Let's see what we got in store for this upcoming week with this week's weather forecast.
Hello, I'm Sean Robertson with this week's weather forecast. The storm door swings wide open again with windy and rainy weather returning midweek with a chance for thunderstorms. We'll see heavy snow for the Sierras as well as into the weekend with ongoing rain chances Friday and later in the weekend. Gusty winds are expected with the first storm on Wednesday, with peak gusts above 45 miles per hour, and thunderstorms may produce locally stronger gusts at times as well. Heavy rain at times is expected Wednesday as the cold front passes through the region during the afternoon. The air will also feel quite cold outside as snow levels drop to the higher peaks around the Bay Area into Friday. We could see accumulating snow east of San Jose atop Mount Hamilton later in the week. More rain is possible Friday, with rain increasing again for Sunday as well. As you can see here, the rain estimates, it'll be around 3 inches everywhere except Scotts Valley and Guerneville are going to be hit especially hard. Now let's move to our 7-day forecast. So here's Santa Cruz. It's going to be mid-50s, upper 50s, and then in the lows it's going to be mid-40s. And this is going to be consistent everywhere. So here's Oakland, mid-50s, upper 50s, and in the lows it's going to be mid to upper 40s. As you can see, San Francisco, much of the same, upper 50s, lower or mid-40s for the lows. And on Monday it's going to clear up a little bit. And let's take a look at San Jose. Much of the same again, except Saturday it's going to clear up a little bit, get a little bit sunny on Saturday. And that has been it for me. Now back to the desk.
Stay tuned for more when we come back.
Ramadan is upon us. See how one organization is bringing members of the faith together.
One historic donation leaves promise for this SJSU sports team. More on that up next.
Find out all your Spartan Sports recaps at this week's Spartan Sports Central.
The month of Ramadan is here. Muslims worldwide are celebrating the holiday. Reporter Gabriel Evans went to see what the Talif organization is doing to celebrate.
The Talif organization is a non-profit that provides a space for Muslims from all backgrounds and those interested in the faith to come together to share dialogue and reflection. During the month of Ramadan, the organization is hosting weekly dinners accompanied by a lecture and prayer.
Oftentimes, there's people that are on the periphery of the faith, that are curious about the religion, that are new to the faith, or like me, people are trying to get a healthier understanding of the deen and connect to God on a deeper level. And Talif has been able to speak to all those forms.
The community gatherings emphasize consistent self-reflection and personal accountability to God, more so during Ramadan. Talif also believes that the month-long holiday is also a time to let go of worldly physical things and focus on the state of one's heart.
It's also a time for you to get closer to God. And yeah, hopefully, the ideal is that you leave the month a little bit better than you were when you came in.
Talif has 2 locations, in Fremont and Chicago. They host a combination of various lecture series, resources, and specialized programs for newcomers to the religion.
It just definitely just feels like family. It just feels like welcoming and warm, and I know that even if I come to Tenerife like years later with my family, it'll still have that same kind of energy.
The space remains a place where Muslims can eat, conversate, and most of all, build community. In Fremont, Gabriel Evans, Update News.
Last week, the San Jose State Athletic Department received a historic donation. This donation will be used to shape women's golf. Reporter Larry Larkin has the story.
San Jose State University announced a groundbreaking $2 million donation to its women's golf program on March 5th. It is thanks to entrepreneur and philanthropist Malin Giddings, who is a luxury real estate agent. Giddings has donated $2 million as an estate gift for when she passes away. The contribution will be used to establish the Malin Giddings Women's Golf Excellence Fund, which will provide scholarships for women golfers and support their academic, competitive, and community endeavors.
This is going to really ensure the future of the program. We're so grateful. Mullen is an amazing role model.
Although this fund won't be dispersed immediately, it will be important for future golfers, and the current golfers are grateful for Giddings' donation.
Thanks to people like Mullen with their donations and their support, we're able to keep growing and to keep getting better, so we're all very thankful.
SJCU's women's golf team has had a history of success, having made the NCAA championships 24 times in the history of the program.
Just to keep helping building the program, keep being able to give scholarships to great players, recruit great players.
Update News reached out to Malin Giddings but got no response. Jeff Konya, the director of athletics at SJSU, says that this fund will be important as collegiate athletics are about to enter an era of revenue sharing.
We are preparing for a revenue share environment, which is likely to come into the industry as early as fall of 25 or fall of 26.
San Jose State Athletics said in a press release that the fund will provide vital resources to ensure that golfers have access to the tools they need to succeed, fostering a legacy of growth, achievement, and empowerment for women in sports. In San Jose, Larry Larkin, Update News.
Sticking to university sports, now we have Nick Austin bringing you this week's Spartan Sports Central. What you got for us, Nick?
Welcome to Spartan Sports Central. I'm Nick Austin. Let's get into some of the events from this past week. The women's basketball team reached the end of their season this past Saturday as they faced 6th-ranked Fresno State in the first round of the Mountain West Championship Tournament. They lost 67-62, with guard Amaya Simmons leading the team in scoring with 16 points and 9 rebounds.
This just in, the men's basketball team won their first round matchup against Wyoming 66-61. The Spartans will be moving on to the quarterfinals of the Mountain West Conference Tournament, as they will face number 1 ranked New Mexico on Thursday at noon.
Looking ahead, men's baseball will travel to San Diego for a 3-game series against San Diego State. This will be the team's first games against a Mountain West opponent. First pitches are Friday at 6:05, Saturday at 4, and Sunday at 12:05. Women's gymnastics will take part in a quad meet at 2 p.m. on Sunday, March 16th at Cal Berkeley. They will face off against number 6th-ranked Cal, number 12th-ranked Stanford, and number 25th-ranked Arizona State. This is also SJSU's last regular season meet before the Mountain West Championships. Now, we have everyone's favorite time of the show, Spartan Showcase. This week, we're going to highlight our track and field team, where 2 of your very own Spartans will be competing in the NCAA Indoor Championships. Senior Emilia Strozand and graduate student Simone Johnson will both be traveling to Virginia Beach to take part in the championship. This will take place from March 13th through the 15th. That does it for Spartan Central. Let's get back to the desk.
Hey Abel, what would you consider your lucky charm?
I'm more of a Frosted Flakes guy myself.
No, your lucky charm.
Oh, well I tend to carry a lucky dime like Mr. Krabs. What about you?
Mine will have to be my lucky necklace. Let's see what other Spartans have this week for this week's Day of the Spartans.
My lucky charm is my sunny angel baby. I always have one on my phone, and I feel a lot more comfortable when I have one.
I drink tea every morning, and if I don't drink tea, then I don't have a good day. And there are specific teas that I drink that kind of dictate the day that I'm having.
I don't think I've thought of anything specific before, like as a lucky charm, but like things that I always carry around with me are like a claw clip I always have, usually the same one, and What else do I always carry? Oh, like a water bottle, because I'm a dancer, so I always like to put my hair up, and then I always bring around the same water bottle too.
My lucky charm, I would say, is my smile. My smile, definitely, yeah. I feel like it's very like vibrant, and like a lot of people just like gravitate towards me just because I smile a lot, and it really just like keeps me pushing through the day.
And that does it for this week's edition of Update News. Be sure to follow us on all our socials.
And for all of us here at Update News, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Mo?